what's up? Welcome back to The Buzz with KDB. Today I'm joined by Kyle Garrett. Kyle, what's up? It's really nice to have you here.
Hey, it's nice to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course. So I kind of wanted first to get into people that don't really know who you are. How would you describe yourself to just a stranger?
Oh man, I am what's the saying? I am a jack of all trades, master of none, kind of. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been involved in kind of the Texas country scene for about 5 years now, pretty much since the beginning of COVID. But I've done pretty much every role you can think of in the music industry, and now I'm just kind of heavily focused on my own career.
Yeah. So were you always interested in music, like doing it full time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal from you know, probably 10, maybe even younger, was to make a living, pay my bills through music somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of inspired you to start? Like, what artists were kind of around when you were like, that's what I want to be doing?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is John Mayer. That was a little bit later in my journey. That was like early high school, maybe like eighth grade. Whenever I kind of figured him out and became obsessed. My dad played a little bit guitar. He was in a band in high school. Never like pursued it professionally or anything, but he had this huge collection of CDs, and I kind of stumbled across that when I was like, maybe fifth grade, and got into like grunge and some pop punk with like Green Day. And my mom was big into country, so I grew up on like early 2000s country, like Brooks and Dunn, Red Dirt Road. That was, I think, the first album I ever bought.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just the influence of both of my parents really kind of just sucked me in. I played sports and stuff when I was a kid, and I wasn't great at anything. And so I was like, okay, well, I like this, so I'm just going to figure out a way to to make it work.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how we're really influenced by our parents? Because thinking like about how you found like your dad's CD collection. I remember doing that like with my mom. Like one day randomly I was just looking through this box of CDs and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many good stuff in here." And my dad still has all of them. Like it's just crazy that we're so heavily influenced by like what our parents listened to when we were growing up.
Definitely. Yeah, it's real cool, and like you said, you find that CD collection and you don't even really know what music is. It's just like, what's all
Yeah.
this art? Like these albums look cool, and you start
Yeah.
reading through the liners and it's like, oh man, so
You
much math.
find Yeah, you find like really cool album covers. One thing I always think about now looking at album covers is how many like early 2000s like country album covers look like senior photos of artists.
You're not wrong, especially like 90s and yeah, there's some
Right?
where they got the hair and it's awesome.
I'm like that's so like I saw someone post that once and now every time I look at an album cover that's what I think about. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's like their senior portraits all over again."
It's awesome.
But when did you first pick up like a guitar to actually like did you learn yourself or did you have someone teach you?
Yeah, so I had some lessons pretty early. I actually started on I started on piano. I played a little bit of piano when I was young and never really picked it up. Then I played drums for many years. I took drum lessons and played drums in some cover bands in like elementary school and middle school. But I picked up a guitar when I was probably like 12. Just for the purpose of wanting to write songs. I thought I had stories I wanted to tell, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So learned the four chords and started writing songs. And honestly, my guitar playing has never really gotten any better since then. I'm just like I said, it's always been for the purpose of being able to write a song and tell a story more so than being a shredder or anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like it's every like little kid's dream to like play an instrument. I mean, I had like this little fake guitar growing up and I was just like, what if I could learn to play? And I'm just like, I'm not coordinated enough to do that. Like I just can't like but I think playing drums is like every kid's dream. So you had it made with the playing drums.
Yes, it's banging on stuff. I mean, honestly, the coordination that's why I didn't stick with drums, because the coordination required for drums is, in my opinion, way more difficult than
Mm-hmm.
guitar or piano.
Yeah, it's crazy to see like people drumming sometimes. I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, it's insane.
Absolutely.
Keeping everyone on track. All right, so I kind of want to get into your recent album.
Hmm.
Kind of give the backstory about that. What did you kind of focus on writing it, and just what inspired you when you were putting it
Yeah,
together?
definitely. So I would say first and foremost, the kind of the idea came from that Marfa Tapes album that Jack Ingram, Miranda Lambert, and John Randall did a couple years ago. They won a Grammy for that one, and I got really into that. I'd say the beginning of last year, 2024. I mean, I knew it was around and I had listened to it,
Mm-hmm.
but something kind of pulled me back. Actually, I know what pulled me back to it. I do this, and we can get into this later, but I produce a podcast for Bree Bagwell,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about John Randall one day, and we ended up having him on the podcast later, which was awesome. But it just kind of encouraged me to look into him and figure out who he was and stuff like that. And then I went back to that record, and like, I guess knowing a little bit more about him made that so much more fascinating for me. Um, and so skipping forward a little bit, after just really indulging in that record for a while, I was like, I've always, excuse me, I've always written songs, for me, but with the goal of having like a catchy chorus that I want to listen to and I want to sing along to.
Mm-hmm.
But never really like, I guess, to tell a story like through and through. So I just wanted to challenge myself to do that. And that's where most of these songs came from. Some of them are older. Most of them I'd written within the last year. So yeah, that's, the album's called Songs from the Canyon. And we filmed a video component for the last 8 tracks in the song. We went out to literally the middle of nowhere, West Texas, like on the Mexico border. And I just set up an iPhone mic and a camera and went to town. And yeah, it was really just a challenge for me. It's not a full studio record. It's not that sort of thing. And with that comes some some other confusing elements. Like, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome because I'm calling it an album, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
really it's not a studio album, by traditional
Yeah.
means. So yeah, anyways, I think I accomplished it. I wanted to just write songs that were more about the story, more heartfelt, more emotional, more raw. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much what you can expect from the record.
I feel like people these days love albums like that because it kind of dives deep more into the artist and what you kind of really want to do. And I definitely think that having that like aspect of it, like telling a story, that's like kind of what everyone wants to do with their music, but it's hard to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think it's just beautiful in a way. I mean, you caught like not a studio album, but still like you put so much work into it and you made it like your own. And it's probably going to be the album in the long run that you're most proud of because of
And
everything.
yeah, say that. I hope so. Like I said, I've been struggling with it a bit. My shows, my live performance. I was in a rock band for like a decade before COVID, so it's always for me been about high energy shows, and
Mm-hmm.
like none of the songs on this new record are high energy. So I even have a hard time kind of persuading myself to play these songs live. Depending on the
Yeah.
setting. If I'm trying to keep a crowd engaged, I find myself being scared to play them.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to lose the crowd. It's certain environments it makes sense, and I can really lean into those songs. And whenever people are there to listen thoroughly,
Mm-hmm.
it comes across well. But yeah, I hope what you said comes true. I'm already writing. I've got a batch of songs that I'm going to go record later this year, and it's back to my roots. Back to
Yeah.
like more upbeat, high energy, kind of rock influenced, catchy stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think it's good though to like have that, but then have like um the storytelling because it's like then people can see there's two sides of you. Like you
Right.
can do this and then but you can also be like this. And honestly, you need to have songs as an artist that are upbeat because that's how you get people engaged. But then you also, it's nice to have slower, sadder songs, which people love sad songs these days. Oh, okay, my dog's growling. No,
Uh-oh.
those are just people moving a couch, buddy. But it's literally like, I don't know. I feel like sad songs are so popular these days. And like you said, being like in a more listening room aspect when you're able to play those songs and tell the stories behind them, that's when people will be engaged. But
Right.
that's also like hard to do. How do you feel about like listening rooms, like playing them?
I really enjoy them, and it's funny because I've always struggled in them in the past before this group of songs.
Mm-hmm.
You say you say sad songs. Most every song I've ever written is a sad song. Some of them just have more more distortion on the guitar.
Yeah.
So there's no shortage of sad songs or emotional songs. But I really enjoy being a spectator or a fan in a listening room. And I've played places like the Saxon Pub in Austin, where it is that vibe. People are there to hear the songs. They're not just like hanging out at a bar with music happening in the background, or they're not buying tickets to a high energy show. So I really enjoy it. And I'm glad now that I have a group of songs that I consider to be really great, that I can showcase in that environment whenever the opportunity presents itself. Yeah, I'm a fan. I like listening rooms a lot.
Yeah, I honestly I only started going, we've been to 2 listening room shows really this year so far. And it's just a different aspect. I love that everyone's just paying attention and actually listening to the music rather than talking over like you have people that just don't know how to shut up during an opener.
Right.
And it's like, okay, come on now. And it's just a whole different feel being in a listening room because you can actually pay attention. And I feel like a lot of more artists open up because it's kind of like awkward silence.
Right.
And so yeah, exactly. I feel like artists tend to open up more and it's just more of like a better vibe overall. Like and you're sitting. I am a person at concerts who I get tired of standing. And if I can just sit and enjoy the show, I'm sold.
Where'd you go, or what venues have you gone to?
Do-Si-Do.
Okay.
In the Woodlands.
Yeah.
That's a really good one because you also it's like you get food as well.
Right.
And then we saw Cat. Yeah. We saw Cat Hasty at the Heights Theater in Houston, and it was seated, and like that was just like really cool actually. And it was funny because with her just like humor and everything, it made it like so much better. Yeah. And in full band, they were full band as well, and it's just like you get to see the band interact with each other like on the stage and things you don't really notice when you're at a more lively amplified show. Right. That's why I thought it was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I want to kind of get into like, how did you decide you wanted to do like Texas country? Because you were you said you were in a rock band for 10 years. How did you kind of change that towards country, going to country?
Totally. So the quick chain of events was at the beginning of COVID, I was hired to start a podcast called Texas Toast. And I just started learning about Texas country. This is a broken record at this point, but I always tell people I didn't know who Wade Bowen was 5 years ago. And started the podcast, learned about all these artists very quickly, kind of got just sucked into the music, was, on my own kind of discovery journey. Ended up meeting Brie Bagwell, tour managed for her for 2 years, and then tour managed with a couple other artists. And I did a crowdfunding campaign in 2022 to make a solo record, and didn't really have a vision for it. I mean, I guess I knew that I wanted to try to make it country, country influence. At least I grew up on country, like I said, and love early 2000s, love 90s country, all that stuff. So it was the first time I had ever done anything by myself, not as a band. And it ended up being awesome. It came out great. Did it with Tim Lightyear up in Dallas. And, I sat on it for a couple years while I was on the road with those other bands. And then finally I just got to a point where it's like, I've got some money. Like I can, release this, not just into the void, but I can market it a little bit as well as I know how. And so I just did that. And then like some shows started coming in, and I had never played, solo acoustic ever. And for the first, probably 6 months, I was like nervous doing it. And now I'm comfortable, and I, play 12 shows a month. But yeah, it was just kind of like a fun thing. I wanted to try something different, and it just really worked out, and then it led to me writing these songs for the new record that are more in the country Americana vein. And I don't know, it felt really natural. That's that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I wanted to try something out, and it seems to be working.
I feel like a lot of people tend to just go back to their roots. Like, just like that's what you were raised on, that's what you went back to. It's just kind of shows that people will always go back towards what they have always known because it feels like home. And it's just funny, like, I'm not originally from Texas. And so moving here, I've realized so many different things like in the Texas country-esque world. And it's just crazy because I'm like, there's so many names that like my boyfriend knows that like I never listened to growing up because I had no idea they existed.
Right.
And so getting to go back now and listen to these artists like for the first time, it's so crazy. Like all these Texas legends that I'm like, well, I had no idea like they existed because I'm from the complete opposite side of the country. So it's really cool that like music is music in the end, and it's just really cool to be able to say like you've done so many different things too, like in the music industry. What was kind of like the hardest thing that you did? Is being an artist the hardest?
That's interesting. I don't know if I'd say being an artist is, I worked security at a bunch of, so I've been in Austin since 2013. I grew up in Houston area. And like I said, I did security at a bunch of different venues. I did like lighting and sound production. I went to school for audio engineering, and that's kind of what led me into this whole podcast thing. So I produce a bunch of other podcasts currently. I don't know. The hardest thing. I mean, it's all difficult, right? And what's hard about it is, I guess maybe the artist thing is the hardest just because there's no proven anything, if you have millions of dollars to dump into it and your songs aren't terrible, then you can be quote unquote successful. But I'd consider myself successful now because I pay my bills doing this,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Not that it's all been tough, it's all a learning curve and it's all constantly evolving. So I don't want to make it sound like it's easy because it's not by any means.
No. Yeah.
I think marketing myself is probably the hardest thing, just constantly pivoting and trying new things and staying on top of social media and how to spend my marketing dollars. All that sort of stuff is probably where I feel the most stumped.
Honestly, I feel that way too, because it's so hard sometimes to know what content to put out and what's interesting and what's trending on social media, like you said.
Right.
It's so hard to stay on top of everything while also having to do my weekly episodes and this and that. It's just like, it's like nerve-wracking sometimes because I think marketing is the hardest, truly, because there's so many more people you can reach. It's just more like how to do it. And you have to be like strategic about it, and it's very difficult. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean that's the challenge we're all facing, except Hudson Westbrook, and,
right?
And I love those guys. They're awesome. I've met Hudson. He's like the sweetest guy, staying true to Texas, which I heavily respect. But those dudes got it figured out.
I know.
And I'm happy for them.
I know. I was talking to someone like last week, and I'm just like, the way Hudson like wasn't even really doing this like a year and a half ago. And now he's been doing it nonstop since. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's insane to be able to keep up with everything. Like he's done some incredible big shows, and it's crazy like to even think about. I definitely think social media is just such a big aspect of musicians today because it's how you get your name out there if you can do
Right.
it like correctly. But
Hmm.
I also feel like so many people are trying.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, for sure. It's interesting seeing, the different approach from every artist, right? Like you kind of try to emulate what
mm-hmm,
maybe a group of other artists are doing, right? And there's no, like I said, there's no surefire way to do anything. So it's easy to get discouraged. But for me, it's like, I make a post, there's a video of me playing or whatever, and it gets 30 likes. Then it's like, okay, cool. And then I post another one and it gets 100 likes. And then I post another one and it gets 3 likes. So it's kind of fun. It's like a roller coaster ride. And for me, it's just about doing it. It's not about
mm-hmm.
like getting to that level. It's just, I'm going somewhere and there's consistent growth. And that's kind of what fuels me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that it's definitely a challenge to look at like in a positive way
Yeah.
because you're just like seeing how different things are going to pan out, and it's really interesting to see like a post you thought wasn't going to do that well ends up being like your best one, and it's just weird because you're just like, I didn't even think that was like that good. Like I spent
Right.
maybe a little bit of time on it and then people just liked it. And I'm just like, it's so crazy. I
Mm.
love TikTok for that aspect because sometimes the dumbest things go viral
Oh
and
yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh. Sometimes these people have humor like I do. Like
Mm.
it's so dumb and it's going viral. Like it's crazy. Sometimes I like all this AI stuff right now. How do you think of I really want to get an artist aspect on this. Like how do you view AI currently like in the industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the first thing that popped into my mind was that new Zach Brown Snoop Dogg album cover. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
got 6 fingers, and it's just like, come on, man, you've got money. Like, why wouldn't you just take a real picture? Like, hire an
Right?
artist. Yeah. So that is kind of frustrating to me, just because like, why you don't need it? Like somebody like me or somebody similar to me who's like an unknown artist
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep up with the demand, it makes more sense to do that. I still personally would suggest, and I myself would hire somebody to do that. Or find a way to make a friend who's new at content creation and build
Yeah.
together. So I don't know. My view on AI is mixed. I use AI quite often for social media, not my own social media clips for the podcast that I produce.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of like streamlines my work process. There's a new tool that I've been using for demos where you can upload like a work tape, basically just like an iPhone recording of yourself playing the song, and then it'll kind of produce the song for you. And that's really cool to me because it'll give you ideas for
Mm-hmm.
different melodies, even, but also mainly just like arrangements and guitar parts or drum fills and things like that. So it kind of helps you envision what you want the song to sound like before you actually go in to record it. So there's pros and cons for sure. On a bigger picture, not to get too like political or deep or anything, it's a little concerning what's going
I
on.
agree, yeah.
Um, so I definitely think there should be regulation on it. I think that this whole Spotify AI artist thing is a complete joke.
Yeah.
I'm way past the point of being frustrated with Spotify for not paying enough. Like whatever, I'm not getting millions of streams, so my income from Spotify is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I definitely don't think that like non-human music should be making any money. Because there's, yeah, what I'll leave it at that.
No, I agree like with so many things because you see sometimes these posts that these bigger artists are putting out there like show posters or album art, and you're just like, I know AI made that.
Yeah, because it's the
It's like,
same font on every
yeah,
single.
exactly. It's the same like colors. It's like,
Right,
oh my gosh. And like you know that you have the money to pay someone to
right.
do it. And I have friends out there who will gladly do it for free just to
Right.
like build their portfolio. And it's crazy, like, to look at it and just be like, wow, like people are using this day to day. Like you said, it can help in aspects. Like, I feel like for you though, that's more helping you bring inspiration, like
Right.
just helping with that. It's not like you're gonna go in and use that as like your single and put it out. It's just crazy. As for, like the AI artists too, like that's insane. It's just like there's so many people who deserve to have their music played, and the fact that there's people like robots are literally making this music and getting
Right.
like money is just crazy. And
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's cool, right? I think it's
yeah.
very fascinating that computers have gotten to a place where they can do that. But it's just it that only hurts the industry. You know, it's there's
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's taking away from all the artists who are putting in years of craft and then
Yes.
thousands of dollars recording the music. So yeah, ultimately it's a negative impact for music in general.
Mm-hmm. Because it's just showing people that like anyone can kind of do it. Then, like
Right.
anyone can go into like any AI thing and just be like, okay, make a song like this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what's this world gonna be in like 5, 10 years? Then
Right.
is the music being played on the radio even going to be sang by an actual person? It's just crazy.
Tough.
Yeah. But I kind of want to go back to Texas, and what have been some of your favorite venues to play in
Mm.
Texas? Because there's some really legendary ones and some really good small ones that people might not know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Do definitely is probably my favorite one that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working there for years as a tour manager and different roles, but I've played there a couple times, and I just love that room. I love the history of the building.
Mm-hmm.
The sound in there is fantastic. Like you said, the crowd is always very engaged, which
Yep.
makes for an awesome night. I've played Saxon Pub a couple times now, which is a legendary smaller room in Austin. A lot of the Texas guys and even other genre artists have kind of got their starts there, so it's cool to have played there. Let's see where else I played. Cowboys and Cadillacs in New Braunfels recently, which is a newer place, and it's like this really cool rooftop bar, and aesthetically, it's
Oh,
just like
that's cool.
awesome. They put lots of work and effort into like every single little detail of that place. So that's one of my favorites right now. There's a lot that I haven't played at yet. I'm still pretty new here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm halfway through year 2 of this kind of, so I got a long way to go, and there's a long list of spots that I want to hit.
Yes. Like definitely Green Hall is probably on your
Absolutely.
list. Like that place is like, I love venues that like you can step into and you just feel the history. That's
Oh,
like
yeah.
with Do a lot too. Like
Same. Yeah.
all the
It's
pictures, everything like on the wall, you're just like, holy cow, like it's crazy. And hearing like the floors creak in any venue you go to, you're just like, okay, wow, that's history.
yeah. Do's just not as hot as Green Hall.
Exactly. Green Hall is hot. We went there in August last
Oh,
year. We saw
yikes!
Jacob Stelly there, and oh my gosh, it was disgusting.
Yeah,
And it
everybody's just
was,
sticking together.
yeah. And it was sold out. Like it was packed in there. And I'm just like, how is no one dying? Like it's
Right.
insane.
Right.
Like the amount of water cups I had just to stay hydrated was crazy. Yeah, that. But also at the same time, like it's just so legendary. It just being in there, it's kind of worth it.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I would
Yeah,
recommend that experience to anyone.
yeah, for sure. That and we went to Billy Bob's last year as well for the first time, and that was an experience in itself. I think I've never been in like a place like that before, and
I mean,
it's
that's
just
the only
beautiful.
that's the only place like that on Earth. It's
For
like
real.
an amusement park,
That's where I would take an alien if they just dropped. I'd
right?
be like, okay, let's go to
Absolutely.
Billy Bob's. honestly. But
I
no,
mean, yeah,
I
if you took me there in 2019, I would have been like, "What is happening? What is this place?"
literally, it's crazy. Now looking at it, I'm like, there's a whole entire gift shop. There's billions of space just for literally anything. Like all the
Yeah,
pool tables and just like the big dance floor and even like the big stage. It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah,
And the fact that they have like a rodeo in there every day too is crazy. I'm just like, that's Texas for
I
you
got
in a nutshell.
it.
It's crazy, but
Yeah,
it
I
was
love it.
definitely it's a lot of fun. My boyfriend's only complaint was that it's like $2 to play pool.
Mm, I don't think I've ever played pool there. That's interesting. That
Yeah,
normally it's
he's
what, 4 quarters.
yeah, it's usually like $1.
Yeah,
It was crazy, but it's definitely there's some really good like Texas venues that are just like you're like wow. There's like you see everyone go and play there, and you're just like being in there is insane.
that's what I love about Texas too. Though is like you can play in a historic place like Green Hall, which is like a 150 whatever year old wooden dance hall.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Bob's is like literally an amusement park in a building. And then you can go play the next night at Blue Light in Lubbock, and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
small little dive bar. Really, I mean, it's like a honky tonk now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just cool. I love the variety of it. I love the variety of genre. Texas country obviously isn't a stylistic genre anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was like writing an email to somebody earlier, and I was like, there's people in this scene who sound like Bob Dylan, and there's people in this scene who sound like Nirvana. You know?
Honestly, yeah. The idea of like new Texas country is crazy to think about because
Yeah,
like I feel like anyone will kind of just slap the label Texas country on them because they're from
right.
Texas. And it's just like, it's kind of cool though, because it's all different. And I think that's what's really cool about music is how everyone feels like a home
Right.
in this genre. And I think that's really cool.
Totally. I've felt so accepted in this scene since I started playing shows, and I mean, compared to my I mean, honestly, if I would have known Texas country was around, my old band could have called ourselves Texas country. We were like a pop punk band, but didn't sound any different than Cody West or
Yeah,
Treaty.
for real. It's just
Yeah,
crazy to think about all like the people who call themselves just Texas country. And you're just like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome.
There's some, yeah, it is because it's like you have people like the Hudson Westbrook, but then you said you have people like Treaty Oak, and it's
Mm,
just like, okay, that's insane, but
right.
you're like proud of it, and it's really cool. And that's one thing I've realized since moving here is just like how accepting it is for everyone, and it's just like if you want to make music. You can 100% go and make music, and you will be accepted by
Yeah.
so many different people. And I think that's the beauty of the music industry here in Texas versus like Nashville.
Mm, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree completely.
Well, is there anything you kind of want to add? Just stream my
Um,
music.
yeah, background music. Nice. Now my dog heard that and is coming.
Yeah, come, Duncan, leave. You're interrupting.
I think he went outside to look for your dog. No, not really. Come catch a show. I play solo a lot right now. I've got a band show once or twice a month. Those are a lot more fun for me, obviously, and I think probably more enjoyable for the fans. At least if you're into more high energy stuff, like we put on a pretty good show, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice mix of songs, and then my stuff. So yeah, keep an eye on the schedule. It's all at KyleGarrettMusic.com or Kyle Garrett Music on Instagram, and yeah, that's all I
Perfect.
get.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Kyle. It was fun chatting
Yeah,
with you. And
absolutely great to
yeah,
meet you.
yeah, of course. This was a lot of fun.